Every day holds a story. Let's rewind. This is Today Rewound. This scroll, just typed and still warm from the typewriter, will declare a nation's rebirth, or ignite a war. David Ben-Gurion, the steel-like pragmatist with an uncompromising vision, glances at his watch. His voice, usually firm, carries the weight of centuries. "History may judge us harshly," he whispers, "but we have no choice." In a matter of hours, the British mandate will expire, leaving a power vacuum in a land already fractured by conflict. The decision he is about to announce will reshape the Middle East and echo across generations. At precisely 4 o'clock in the afternoon, on May 14, 1948, inside a modest art museum on Rothschild Boulevard in Tel Aviv, David Ben-Gurion rises. The room falls silent. 37 members of the People's Council gather around him as he adjusts his glasses and begins to read from a scroll, words marking the rebirth of a nation after 2,000 years. The land of Israel was the birthplace of the Jewish people. Here, their spiritual, religious, and political identity was shaped. But this declaration would give rise to more than a state. It would ignite a conflict that continues to this day. To understand how we arrived here, we must rewind. World War II ended just 3 years earlier, exposing the horrors of the Holocaust. 6 million Jews murdered by Nazi Germany. Survivors, with nowhere to go, languished in displaced persons camps across Europe. Many looked to Palestine, then under British control, for refuge. "After everything we endured, we deserve a home where no one can threaten us again," wrote Joseph Kleinman, a Holocaust survivor who arrived in Palestine in 1947. "Some nights I still wake up screaming, but here, for the first time, I have hope." In November of that year, the United Nations voted to partition Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states. Jewish leaders accepted the plan. A partial homeland was better than none. Palestinian representatives and Arab leaders rejected it. Their opposition ran deeper than land. They viewed the plan as violating the self-determination of the Palestinian Arab majority and as a continuation of colonial rule imposed without their consent. "We lived here for generations," wrote Khalil al-Sakakini in his diary. "How can others decide our fate without our voice? This is not justice." As the British prepared to leave, violence escalated. Clashes between Jewish and Arab communities intensified. Jerusalem was under siege, supply lines were cut, and neighboring Arab nations prepared to invade. What few realize is this: the declaration almost didn't happen. On May 12, 1948, inside the Jewish Agency headquarters, heated arguments filled smoke-filled rooms. "This is suicide," warned Moshe Sherratt. "We must wait for international guarantees before inviting 5 armies to attack us." Ben-Gurion paced the floor. In his diary, he wrote, "If we fail now, Jewish history may never forgive us. But if we succeed, what price will our neighbors pay?" Publicly, however, he stood firm. "If we do not declare statehood now, we may never get another chance." Originally planned for May 15th, the ceremony was moved forward by a day to avoid violating the Jewish Sabbath, a decision that would prove strategically vital. The final declaration text wasn't completed until the very morning of May 14th. It underwent multiple revisions, with fierce debate over religious language and territorial references. One phrase, "Rock of Israel," remained deliberately ambiguous. Secular leaders viewed it as symbolic of heritage. Religious members interpreted it as a name for God. Even the name Israel was finalized only hours before the ceremony. Other contenders included Judea and Zion. In the end, Ben-Gurion chose Israel, a name steeped in ancient biblical history. At 4 o'clock, Ben-Gurion stood before the council and read the declaration. Outside, armed guards stood ready. The location had been kept secret until hours before. The atmosphere inside, tense and electric. "My hands trembled as I signed my name," recalled Rachel Cohen Kagan, one of only 2 women signatories. "I felt the weight of centuries and the eyes of those who would never see this day." The declaration was clear and bold. We hereby declare the establishment of a Jewish state in Eretz Israel to be known as the State of Israel. Three perspectives collided in that moment. In Tel Aviv, a young Jewish refugee clutched a radio. In Jerusalem, Palestinian merchant Hassan Abu Sod told his children, "Pack only what you need. We'll return when the fighting stops." Like thousands of others, they never did. Ben-Gurion invited the council to sign. Names were not listed alphabetically, but chosen to reflect all sectors of Jewish society, from rabbis to socialists, immigrants to native-born. Golda Meir's name was among them. Just days earlier, she had met secretly with King Abdullah of Transjordan, her final attempt to avoid war. Though sympathetic, he offered no promises. The declaration triggered swift reactions. 11 minutes later, President Harry Truman recognized the new state, acting against the advice of his own State Department. The Soviet Union followed 3 days later. Within 24 hours, Egypt, Transjordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq launched coordinated attacks. "We stand at the beginning of a difficult struggle," Ben-Gurion said on the radio. "But a people defending its home cannot be defeated." The hours gained by advancing the ceremony proved critical. Emergency measures were launched. Command posts were set. The museum itself became a military headquarters within hours. The declaration scroll, now a historic artifact, was rushed to a secure location. Some accounts suggest it was nearly lost amid the chaos, though historians still debate the details. Ben-Gurion didn't sleep for 2 days. From an underground command center, he oversaw Israel's first hours of survival. The war that followed lasted nearly a year. Israel secured its independence, but the cost was immense. Thousands died on both sides. Around 700,000 Palestinian Arabs were displaced, an event Palestinians remember as al-Nakba, the catastrophe. Some fled the fighting, others were expelled. In villages like Deir Yassin, massacres occurred that accelerated the exodus. The refugee crisis remains unresolved to this day. "We became a homeless people in a single day," said Khalil Sakakini, who fled Jerusalem. "I never wanted to leave," recalled Fatima Shaheen from Haifa. "But after what we heard, we felt we had no choice." The borders after the war differed drastically from the UN plan and laid the groundwork for decades of unresolved conflict. Today, Israel's original Declaration of Independence is preserved in Jerusalem. It speaks of peace and cooperation with neighboring states, hopes still unfulfilled. That afternoon in May was not just the birth of a nation. It was the beginning of an enduring story.